Now, let's move on to superannuation, Adam. There are very few people who know more about super than you do. And while the Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, released his discussion paper on super a week ago, you've been writing discussion papers on super for a long time. Perhaps not as many people.
Indeed, I have.
Perhaps not as many people have read them.
Yeah.
But
sadly,
now,
have had zero effect on policy.
well, now's your chance. Why do you think super needs reform, and what do you think the key things are that needs to change?
Well, look, I think it's worth reflecting on how the US does its superannuation version. It has a similar system, if you like, called 401k accounts, but the crucial difference is it's not compulsory, so people can opt out if they want of the contributions. And I think that's a sensible thing. For instance, during the pandemic here in the US, lots of Americans, I think about a quarter of them, chose to access their savings throughout the lockdowns, and I think that's a reasonable thing. They had to incur a slight tax penalty, sure, but they still did. And the other good thing about the US system, I think, the publicly funded component called Social Security, that is related to people's earnings when they're working. So it's not a flat rate, and it's also not means tested. So you don't have this situation in the US where you've got tens of thousands of retirees, probably even more, rejigging their financial affairs to get the age pension. And of course, what that entails is ploughing more and more of their money into the family home so that they can still get the pension. And so you end up with higher house prices than you would otherwise have in Australia, which of course damages younger people. So I think there's lots to learn from the US system, and I recommended to make super voluntary. Certainly maybe have a default system that people have to opt out of it, but I think it should be voluntary. I think that's one crucial change. And then the other thing, the age pension should be universal. Everyone should just get it. And then that completely gets rid of all of the rejigging and all of the chicanery, shenanigans, if you like, to access the pension.
That would presumably cost a lot more in the budget, though.